73 is our open line number. It's 11 past 11. Joe, g'day.
G'day, Ray. How are you?
Good, Joe. What can we talk about, mate?
Mate, just in regards to the statistics that have come out around the use of ice in the community.
Yes, yes.
So I work at the Glen. We're a drug and alcohol rehabilitation centre on the Central Coast. And I just wanted to say, I think it's really, really good that the media, including yourself, are reporting it. And we're all acknowledging now that in the community there is such a widespread use of it. There's a problem. But the other thing I think is important is that we need to make sure that we focus on now getting together and having conversations around the solution. I think it's great that we're going to support people like the police and the ambulance workers that are on the front line dealing with it on a daily basis. But I need to express a little concern in regards to, we come from a treatment facility. We need to make sure people like us are also part of that discussion.
Sure.
And also,
well, Jimmy, Joe, I should say, this is the first conversation I've had with anyone in your position, and I welcome it as CEO of the Glen. Can you answer a few questions for me, if you wouldn't mind?
Yep.
Are we talking about more men than women, or across both sexes? And are we talking about a particular age or across all age groups?
I don't think it's discriminating. It's surprising even us, to be honest.
Really?
How widespread the use seems to be. Absolutely. We're on the Central Coast. We're actually an Indigenous organisation. We do accept non-Indigenous clients as well.
Sure.
But 60 to 70% of our clients are Indigenous, which does show that for the Indigenous community, this is a massive issue.
Oh.
The clients are getting younger. So the average age of client for us now has just gone under 30. That happened last year. So it's getting younger, and we put that down to the fact that the drugs that people are using now is just so much more potent than what people were using in the past. And so they're getting to us and they're putting their hand up a lot earlier for help.
Joe, bear with me. Don't go, because this is very important. I want to talk to you, so please don't hang up. Please don't hang up. But right now there's a media conference about the arrest of a Hong Kong national that seized 150 kilograms of the drug ice. Let's go straight to the media.
Standing here right now, they did a fantastic job in being able to distinguish between the chemicals and the narcotics themselves.
That's Australian Customs with this announcement. A Hong Kong national has been charged with importing 150 kilograms of ice, and it was a joint agency investigation including the AFP, the Australian Customs and Border Protection Service, and that was the commander, Mr Tim Fitzgerald, talking. He's joined there by Superintendent Ben McQuillan from the AFP as well. Back we go, and it was timely. We're talking to Joe, CEO of the Glen Rehab Centre on the Central Coast of New South Wales, which is for Indigenous victims of ice, but also other people as well can access the services on the Central Coast. Sorry about that, Joe, but that was a pretty important story in light of our conversation.
Yeah, absolutely, Ray, absolutely. And, I think it's great that the police are making some inroads and, getting those big supply chains, and I really hope the law deals with them very swiftly and thoroughly. But I think it's important as a community we have conversations around how we actually solve the problem. And a lot of the ice use and the drug abuse in general in Australia might be more the symptom, not just the problem, So we have to have some honest conversations about why people are using the ice.
You give me an indication, and is it again? Is it people with plenty of money or people with no money, or is it everyone?
Mate, everyone again. I mean, a lot of the people we see going back to it do come from Indigenous communities, and a lot of it comes from a loss of that loss of culture. That's a real. They're not using out of anger. I'd say it's more a sadness. That people are feeling the need to try and use drugs to make themselves feel better.
But why, Joe? Why ice and not why some other? Because ice, we hear from police officers, it brings out the worst in people. Little women become Herculean in their strength. Why ice? I can understand where you're coming from in relation to the people you cater for, Indigenous Australians.
It can be very cheap and easy to get hold of.
Really?
I think that's a big part of the problem at the moment.
Cheap and easy.
I mean, it's actually expensive compared to other countries, but for Australian people that decide they're going to use drugs, ice is a cheap option and it's easy to get hold of. But that's where we need to be careful, I think. We don't want to be arresting our way out of the problem in regards to the users. We need to make sure places like ourselves are getting funding and getting supported, and we're getting good corporate support and good support from the government, but we always need a bit more. Unfortunately, last year we had to shut a service we're actually half the capacity than what we were
How many
12
people?
months ago.
How many people do you deal with on a weekly basis, so to speak?
So we've got 32 clients, residential rehab, so they live in 32 clients, and we lost 18 beds last year.
For how
we
long?
had to shut them down.
How long, Joe? Do they live in for?
3 to 12 month program, so it's a minimum of 3, but we have a transition program where a lot of the guys are choosing to stay on after 3 months, move into the transition program, and the goal is they have to leave as a taxpayer. So we're getting them all into employment. So not just getting them off the drugs and alcohol, but actually our goal is to have everybody that leaves our program a tax-paying citizen of Australia.
What a fantastic initiative. Listen, I'm going to run out of time here, but maybe, Joe, I can get you into the studio because obviously I'm concerned about it. Every Australian should be concerned about the preeminence of ICE in the community and the reasons it's happening. And you got me, hook, line and sinker when you said you want to make them taxpayers, and that's the basis on which they leave your facility.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're doing that with some good corporate support. And we're actually about to increase our capacity, hopefully in July, but Bunnings have come on board and donated 2 buildings so we can increase our capacity and try and replace the beds we lost last year.
Fantastic.
You know, so government took away, but the corporate support are coming in, and we're going to keep our head up and continue to grow.
Just one final thing for people who may be dealing with this within their own family at home, okay? Because parents and grandparents and uncles and aunts can do whatever they like. But is it the same deal with all other drugs that eventually the user has to make a decision that they want to go to the Glen or another facility? And
yeah, it is. Absolutely. I mean, it's important that you try and support them as best you can and minimise the risk and, try and keep them safe. But it is very important that the person themselves, there's no magic wand, unfortunately.
No.
The person themselves has to decide that they want to stop using. And that's where I think if someone does put their hand up and stop using, I think it's important places like the Glen.
Yeah.
We've got to work out why they used it in the first place then.
Sure.
Not just treat the using. We've actually got to dig down deep and find out, well, why were they using? And get them help for those things as well.
Other issues. Just finally, when you first deal with these people, if they're coming off ICE, so to speak, do you see the behaviour manifested in the way the police officers tell me what they've got to deal with on a daily basis in all parts of Australia?
Mate, they've got a very, very hard job. I really take my hat off to them. We don't see it as bad as they do because everyone has to detox before they come to our centre.
Right.
So they're not actually still coming down off the drugs.
Yeah.
Although, in saying that, they probably still do come down for the first few weeks.
Yes.
But that real bad come down is, the police and the ambulance services, they're the ones, the hospitals, they're really the front line for that.
What's your last name, Joe?
Coyte, C-O-Y-T-E.
Joe Coyte. All right, Joe, our first of many conversations I had because I want to help if we can, okay?
All right, thanks, Ray.
Thanks, Joe. All the best to you. CEO of a place called the Glen, a rehab centre on the central coast of New South Wales. Originally started for Indigenous users, but as Joe said, not restricted to Indigenous users. It devises a comprehensive medical program for each client. And the thing that got me, Joe said, we want them to leave here after 3 to 12 months as tax-paying contributors to society. Kay said, could you wish my husband